Aadharshila talk at RRIS. Congratulations to everybody associated with RRIS, our entire team, and all the participants. Week after week, your presence and encouragement has made this possible. My biggest and deepest gratitude to all the Aadharshilas, all the speakers who have been sharing their wisdom with all of us. And
Ma'am, you're on mute,
Namaste,
ma'am.
ma'am, you're on mute.
You are muted.
Yeah, why?
oh, right from the beginning?
No, ma'am, when you just
No.
mentioned
Somebody
that.
just unmuted everybody just now.
Okay. So now Zarin ma'am is on mute. No problem. I'll first begin with the introduction of our speaker today and what the topic entails. You all, as teachers, know that it is very important for all of us to keep assessing ourselves. And we do it with an intention of knowing how we can be better teachers and better individuals. This process involves looking back, and this is in some way called reflection. This helps us not to go blindly in our way, not to create unintended consequences. It helps us plan, it helps us give the best what we can to our children. The new national education policy also talks about instilling this sense of learning how to learn. And I think it applies not only to children but to us. And if we want to learn how to learn, it is not possible without reflection. It also reminds me of a beautiful quote by John Dewey, which states, "We do not learn from experience; we learn from reflecting on experience." So please remember, we are not just giving those experiences to our children in the right or holistic manner until and unless we make them reflect. Now, this is a value or virtue which needs to be first practiced by the teachers themselves. I cannot go on elaborating because I am very sure that I won't be able to reach that level of understanding and explanation that Zarin ma'am would do. We look forward to hearing from her more on what is reflection, how and why it is to be done, why is it important for teachers. So let me introduce today's speaker, Ms. Zarin Virji, the principal of the Universal School. Ma'am is a creative writing graduate from the University of Sheffield, UK. For over 3 decades, she has played the role of a teacher, teacher trainer, and head of the school. Teaching and writing are her twin passions. From 1996 to 2006, she edited the journal Classroom, a safe space for all matters related to education. At present, she heads an international school, that is the Universal School in Mumbai. Her writing is as much about expressing spontaneous feeling as it is about grappling with socio-economic realities of our times. Her poetry and short stories have been featured in the Research Scholar, Route 57, the Best Asian Short Stories 2018, and Livewire. Her first book, Gopal's Gully. I hope you all are able to look at this cover. Her first book, Gopal's Gully, has been recently published by Penguin Random House India. I have read this book and I would recommend each one of you to read this. It's like a slice of India. Such a beautiful, immersive story. You would not be able to ever detach yourself from the life of Gopal and the people in his lives. So thank you so much for writing this wonderful book, ma'am. And I wish to see many more books written by you and read them. When it comes to ma'am's personal attributes, I think I won't be able to cover them all, but I would like you to know she is so passionate about learning and about teaching. Very humble, down to earth, and what's most attractive about her is this beautiful smile, an open heart, love for all. So, ma'am, I welcome you to take over the stage and kindly guide us with your wisdom.
Thank you, Jaya. Very happy to be here with you. And congratulations to you for taking on this very mammoth task of the Aadharshila talks. and persisting with it. This is your 51st one. Wow. Yeah. It's an achievement, I think. And
Thank
let's
you,
give a
ma'am.
big round of applause to Jaya for this wonderful. You know, Jaya does all these things without being worried at all. And I get so burdened when I have to do more than one thing, right? I seem to lose it. So I really admire
Oh,
people.
because you think of doing it in such a beautiful way. I take it that way, ma'am.
No, 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 Jaya. I appreciate
Thanks.
all
Thank
your
you.
qualities.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. Thank you.
I can see another person like that. There is Samina. Samina also shares your abilities and qualities, I would say. Take on many things, multitask. Okay,
Wow.
let's begin. Right, so today we are talking about being a reflective teacher. I don't think it's new to any of us, but let us make it act like a reminder. Okay, these are things we do in our B.Ed training college. Some of us take it forward, some of us leave it there and say college का अलग था, वो तो करना ही पड़ता था, अब पता नहीं, जरूरी नहीं, जो करना है हम कर सकते हैं, right? So I want us all to go back into that B.Ed mode and see how we used to look at our lessons, uh, and bring back that same quality. And I'm sure many of you are doing it. So like I said, let it act as a reminder to all of us. Okay. So next slide, please. Nishita. Yeah. Now, what I have learned is being an English teacher, I feel more and more I have learned that, sometimes we use words, but we don't know what they mean. And I remember when I was a little girl, I was only 12-year-old, and my uncle had come from the US, right? So, of course, I looked up to him, and he brought me so many gifts and so on. And he used to talk to me a lot. So he said something to me, and he was telling me about a snake and how snakes don't bite unless you provoke them. And then he asked me, do you know what provoke means? I did not know the meaning of provoke, but I didn't want him to know that my vocabulary is so limited, right? So I said, oh, yes, yes, I know that. And he, being very loving and clever, said, okay, what do you think it means? And I said, I can't explain it, but of course I know what you're talking about. And again, being an indulgent uncle, he explained to me what it means without making me feel bad at all. But that day I learned this, that never feel shy to say, I don't know what this means. Because that's okay. We don't know everything, right? We'll never know everything. So rather invite the experience of learning something new. So I looked at the dictionary for these two words, which I think mean more or less the same thing. Okay. Reflection is all about giving serious and careful thought to something. And introspection goes even further, I feel, because it's an examination of and attention to your own ideas, thoughts, feelings, and actions. Wow. It covers the whole gamut, right? Next, please. Now, this question, can we have a quick answer to this?
Should
Can
I
one,
answer? Or
Well,
should I ask someone?
if there are any others, I would be
Yes.
happier. Yeah.
Any participant, please unmute and speak. The question is it essential to be a reflective person in order to be a reflective teacher?
Okay, yes. Why? Why? Who would like to give us the why?
Right. Feel free to unmute and speak.
It helps the children, ma'am. Shall I speak?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
I am Manoranjini. It helps the children to experience it from somebody's experience.
No, okay. My question is it
Mr. Amol, please mute yourself. Mr. Amol Gurjar, please
Yeah,
keep yourself on mute. Or sir, if you are speaking, please answer.
yeah. I just want to add that when you
Okay.
reflect yourself, we'll get to know what is there inside you. And once you understand yourself, now, I think you'll be able to present much better to your students. So that is why reflection is very much careful for you to understand what you want to do and what you are expected to do. Because improvement is the need of 21st century. Every day you need to improve yourself. Every day you need to reflect what you've done bad, what you do better. I think this might be a much better than what you've done previously. That helps you to grow up each day and each minute. That is my thinking about the reflection about the person.
yes, Samina?
The first thing that came to my mind was I'm a person before I'm a teacher. So if I know myself, what I want and why I am a teacher, I think that is how I would want to think about, what is my goal? What is my aim? What do I as a person want to bring out to my students? And only then I can put what I am as a person into practice, what I can use as a teacher. So that's something that I thought of.
Yeah, thank you. I think, yeah, that's what I was thinking about. That can we compartmentalize and can we say, I will be a reflective teacher, but I won't be a reflective person, or I will be a reflective mother, but I won't be a reflective teacher, or, the various roles that we play in life. And the answer certainly that I had when I was reflecting, that no, you have to be congruent. So first you have to be a reflective person, and then that permeates every single area of your life and every role that you play. And Socrates has put it beautifully for us by saying, the unexamined life is not worth living, right? I think it's so beautiful. Why am I here? What is the purpose of my life? What am I meant to do? These are questions one needs to ask oneself periodically to know what it's all about. Yeah. Next. Okay, so in order to be reflective, we have to be self-aware. And the self-awareness is in three different areas as I see it. One is in one's daily actions. Even those small things that we do. When we leave home, do we speak to the watchman? Okay, or some other person, or do we look through these people because these are the invisible people who don't matter, they just exist. So this is what I mean by one's daily actions one can be aware about. Two is one's deep-seated values, attitudes, and beliefs, which have again come perhaps from one's family. They may come from our neighborhood, from the school we go to, yes, various from media. So these are the things which shape us. And sometimes we need to look at it. What is that, say, thing, are there assumptions which we need to question? And yes, why are we doing this? I think because we are human, right? And being human, we have the ability to think, we have the ability to love, we have the ability to serve, we have all these things, and a heightened self-awareness only takes us further in this direction. Now, very important what is said at the bottom, you know, that these two things are very, very close. They are like twins. Because if you're self-aware, you will be able to reflect upon things you do. And the more you reflect upon things you do or think or say, the more self-aware you will become. So it's a kind of cyclic thing, and it's a continuous thing. We cannot say that, okay, now I'm self-aware and now I've reflected enough. Then perhaps, of course, you can become Gautam Buddha or something. But I don't think, at least I have reached or will ever reach that kind of level. Okay, next. Now, how do we do this? So as many of us are part of the ETST family, I thought it would be nice to share and remind ourselves of the formula or the mantra that we all have learned from initiatives of change, which is spend time in silence, perhaps 20 minutes, perhaps more, every morning or whenever you get time. Write your thoughts down, compare your thoughts, actions with the absolute standards, which we call pool, and there is the connection, correction, direction. Now, I'm aware that a whole session could be taken on this, so I'm not going to go into the details. I'm sure if anybody wants to know more, Jaya will be the best person who can enlighten you further on all of this. What I do want to say is that two things I want to say, because really what I'm doing is sharing my own journey as a reflective teacher in this talk. Okay. So one of the things I want to share is when I first attended an Initiatives of Change camp as a student, and those days I was going to college from Andheri to St. Xavier's College, which is Marine Lines. Okay, so I felt the best time to have this time of quiet was on the train. But of course, I'm talking of many years ago, right? I am now 57 years old, and those days I was 16. So I'm aware that the train is a different scene these days. But I used to take a train that starts from Andheri. So I would get a seat, and then I would just shut my mind to all those noises and all the vendors who came to sell various things, and I would be lost in my little diary, noting down my thoughts. So the only reason I'm sharing this is that one can find whatever time or space that suits you, that is possible for you, and do this. There is nothing rigid about it. Next, please. Now, there are various tools for self-reflection. So it's a process where you unmask yourself. You know, we all wear masks during the day, I think. And the less masks we wear and the more we are our true core, the more happy we'll be, is my learning anyway. So I think that kind of honesty with oneself, sometimes perhaps being totally honest with everybody may not work, but at least with oneself, then we are, I think, on the right path. If we are fooling ourselves, gosh, how sad, right? I don't think we'll get anywhere if we are fooling ourselves. So be aware of our assumptions, our prejudices, what can help us in this journey: diary writing, journaling, receiving peer feedback. And again, I want to tell you, in our B.Ed training college, we used to have those micro teaching groups. I don't know if they still have, right? We used to be in small groups of 5 or 6 with our supervisor, who would give us the feedback, but then our colleagues, our peers would also give us the feedback. And I don't reacted to that feedback. We took it all in because we felt next time our grades will improve. The first feedback I had received for my B.Ed lesson was, I used the word okay a million times in the lesson. Okay, that must have been my sense of nervousness or whatever. But see, that has stayed with me all these years, that you cannot use a word again and again as a good teacher. Okay, so these are things we did then. Why is it that once we become teachers, or I'll even, with apologies to Jaya, I don't mean it personally, Jaya, but I feel some heads of schools are very closed to feedback, okay, and feel they know everything, and they are there to show the light and show the way. And I think being a leader, in fact, one has feedback.
Ma'am, we lost you for a few seconds there.
Okay. I was just talking of the importance of peer feedback, right?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. You were also talking about the school leaders
Yes.
who are not open to feedback.
Yes, yes. And student, we all know that students can see, okay, hello.
Yes,
Hello.
ma'am, we can hear you.
Yes, I'm so sorry. My network does that. I think it gives me a little rest now and then. And now, haven't we all noticed that the best tool which we have been compelled to use is our video recordings, right? For this 1 year, all our sessions are recorded. I think it's a blessing in disguise, because we don't need anybody else. That lays it bare what went well and what did not go well, and how we can improve upon it. Next. Okay, so very important case for switching to reflective teaching. Okay, so what is reflective teaching? Let's look at some definitions there. Next. It's a process of collecting, recording, and analyzing everything that happens in a classroom, but I will expand it to say everything that goes on in a school. because education doesn't only happen in the classroom, it happens in the corridors. Okay, is my voice breaking? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Your voice is no problems.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it okay?
It must be the problem at the listener's end, ma'am.
Okay, right.
Everything is fine at your.
Okay, so this kind of approach takes teachers from experience to questioning and understanding, and an aha moment is created. And again, I will give you an example. In my first year of teaching, I remember I told this child, I was teaching something, and it was a grade 9, and the students were kind of laughing, and it appeared like they were laughing at me, right, or what I said. And guess what I did? I told this girl, and I still remember the name of the child. I said, Rupali, wipe that smirk off your face. Okay, because it was an affront to my ego that how can the children laugh at me? Now, being reflective, I did think about this incident and then realized that my reaction was totally unnecessary. And Rupali is a wonderful girl. She doesn't deserve to hear this from me. And so the next day, with my tail between my legs, I went to Rupali and I said, I'm sorry, Rupali. Yesterday, I shouldn't have said what I did. And that lovely child, so generous, so loving, said, it's okay, ma'am. Okay? So I think children are so forgiving. And that shows, of course, Rupali and I are still friends. Now she is an ex-student and software engineer, blah, 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 right? Okay, next, please. So it's a process of self-observation and self-evaluation. And again, I would like to reiterate that, if you're afraid of feedback from others, at least you shouldn't be afraid of feedback from yourself. So look into the mirror, lay yourself bare, look at your teaching learning process, look at the behavior, okay? Develop an insight into the delivery of the lessons and use this information to make improvements in instruction design and one's personality traits. Here is time for another example. I remember when I was almost 40 years old, I think, I went to a certain camp, okay? And in this particular, this was not ETST, it was a different thing. And here again, we had to give each other peer review. And by that time, I thought I'm a very good teacher, okay? So the feedback I received from my little group was that I talk very slowly and sometimes I seem to lack in energy. Now that was again revealing, because by then I felt I have mastered it all, I know it, I can do it. And this was very helpful. And then I made a very conscious effort. So I hope today I am well, I talk slowly. I can't change that too much. Okay, that is my natural style. But at least energy-wise, I think I did pick up from that very helpful feedback. Okay.
Ma'am, I would like you to know that your energy is infectious.
Okay,
Positive.
wonderful. Thank you, Jaya. I want to share a few things here. So various thoughts that came to me at various times in my teaching journey, which I implemented. One of those was, I always used to wonder why some students don't do well. And what struck me is, I don't know enough about that child. Okay, that child as a person. I only know this is a student in my class. She or he gets 50% in SST or whatever, doesn't do the homework. But I don't know the whys behind it, because I don't know enough about him or her. And that's when I decided to begin the home visits. And I'm saying those were, I learned so much from those home visits. I learned about their families, their financial situation, their mental framework of the family, and then things fell into place. And then I was able to offer myself more to that child and help that child, because I knew what was going on, what were the things that child was battling. The other was with punishments, and again, we have all those kinds of punishments, write this again, or stand. I'm talking of a long time ago, right? So stand outside the classroom. But something that I learned is punishments need to be innovative, and we have to look at the person and decide this is what this person needs as a correction. And the main thing is one needs to build a relationship with that student. I'm just giving you one example. One of the things I did once with this very naughty boy, I think he was in grade 7 or 8, and I told him, hey, you're going to come home this evening and you're going to help me to make bengan ka bhatta. Okay? And because you have not done your homework. And he didn't see the connection at all, I'm sure, neither did I. But this was something that came to my head, and I said, you better come home. So he came home, and then of course he met my family, right? And naturally we were like sharing, talking, and we were chopping the onions or whatever. And something changed, right? At least in me, that now I looked at him as a person and not as this student who doesn't do my homework. And perhaps something changed in him. So I think these are the things we need to try out. And these things come only if we sit and we reflect on our teaching and on our, classroom transactions. Another example I want to give is, this is again...
I'm interrupting, yes. But I could not resist. This was a fantastic example. I just loved it.
Okay.
This particular kind of punishment.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing.
So, we again, this is more than 20 years ago, when we were looking at our preschool, and we saw that we had small classrooms, but we used to look at the Western schools where we would see these large rooms, and there were corners, a reading corner and a blocks corner and something. And we were feeling, oh, I wish we could create this. But how do we create this? We have these very small classrooms. And this was going on and on in my head. And every time I would walk around the school, this thing would bother me, nag me. How do we overcome this? And then that idea just kind of floated, that let's have floating classrooms, meaning let the children move. So if we cannot have one room with all those corners, let's have the corners spread out over the rooms. So one room can have 2 different corners, and children can be there for half an hour or whatever is the plan. And then they move to the next room and they move to the other 2 corners. Now, again, we kind of said, oh, will it cause a lot of, disruption? And these are little children. Will it be okay? Will they be able to move? But yes, they were able to move once we got the hang of it. So we said, wow, we've got floating classrooms. Okay. Another quick example, story time Saturdays. Now here again, we were wondering why the parents don't read to their children, right? On a weekend, parents will take children to the mall, or they will have some such fancy outing, but the reading culture is going. So we decided, let's have story time Saturdays, where we invite the whole family. So the child may be in the preschool, but his sibling who is older or younger is welcome. The parents are welcome. And the first time we did this, I remember we sat on the floor. We had very comfortable seating. And then one of us narrated a story or read out a story. And after, everybody listened and enjoyed it. And after that, the parents went for a talk on why reading is important, how does it help language development, blah, blah, blah. And on the other hand, children went elsewhere and did some activities based on the story, and now this has become a kind of trend in all our universal schools, which I'm very glad about. Okay, so yes, these are some of the things. I may perhaps come back to some more examples, but let's go to the next slide. Next slide, yeah. So characteristics of reflective teachers: enthusiastic, dynamic, aware of the context, whether it is cultural or otherwise, of their learners and of their school, open-minded in receiving correction and seeing multiple perspectives, wholehearted in accepting the feedback. And very important, don't beat themselves up about negative feedback. Yes, initially, when I was a younger teacher, I used to feel very bad about it. How could I do this mistake? Yes, I would brood about it for days, perhaps, or feel very ashamed, embarrassed. But now I feel okay. It's okay. We are human. We make mistakes. But let's learn from it and let's do things differently the next time. What gets my goat, even with teachers, and I think my teachers will agree with me when I get really angry with them, is when they repeat the same mistake. Then I feel, hey, come on, take a little effort. Why can't you overcome this? Okay, so very important characteristics. Next, please. Now, here, I'm not going to read all this. Of course, Jaya is going to share this presentation with everyone. But just take a few seconds and look at any one question and think of the class you taught this morning. Okay, I'm not asking for your responses. This is for your self-reflection. Next, please. So that was classroom culture. This is planning and preparation. And here I have to say something. I'm sure you will agree with me that when a teacher gets angry in class, it's less to do with the misdemeanor or the whatever, and more to do with herself. Okay, when I'm unplanned, I get angry. When I'm in a hurry, I need to finish the curriculum. My head has told me, or whatever, the exam is coming closer, I tend to get angry. When my mind is on other things, I tend to get angry. When my anger is spilled over from elsewhere, so I've had a fight with my husband or with the gardener or whatever, then I can shout on the poor children, right? Or sometimes I'm just not physically well, or perhaps mentally, going through a phase of depression or whatever. So most often, if you analyze, you will agree with me that these are the times we get angry. But the other days when we are completely at peace with ourselves, we are able to handle the fault or the difficulty in a very different manner and with a much better outcome. Next, please. Next. So again, this is for you. Pick up any one question. Think about this morning's class. Next, please. Now this, I think, is equally important. How do we work along with our colleagues? Do we have a really close-knit relationship where we are there for each other in our good times, in our bad times? Even the fun times we spend together, go on a picnic, whatever. And do we share honest feedback? Or do we say what is politically correct? Do we always say, yes, yes, ma'am, very good lesson, very good lesson? No, you are really hurting your colleague or your head or whoever it is if you're just giving this kind of feedback, because it in the long run, it's not going to help. And as Fatima Rashid shared in the other session, I truly believe my true friends are those who will look me in the eye and who will tell me what I have done wrong. Those are the people I respect. The ones who go on saying, oh, ma'am, you're wonderful, you're great. I know I'm in the wrong company. I don't want to have those kind of people around me. Okay, next, please. Professional development. We talk about it all the time, but do we really do it? Do we mean it? Are we serious about it? And I understand that we all have homes to look after, we have our own lives, but I always say to teachers, well, you don't have to be a teacher. You could do any other job, right? Perhaps you could even earn more money in another job. But if you are working with children and other human beings, then all this matters, okay? Because that's the only way you're going to impact others, only if you are growing and improving yourself daily. Next. Now, features of the NEP, Jaya referred to it earlier. These, I don't think I'm going to read it out. When you get the presentation, you will see how these certain features that Vijay ma'am has shared with me very generously. So these can, make reflective teaching more easy for all of us, okay, because the NEP already lays emphasis on it. So the next slide also talks about that. Yes, next. Now, benefits, I don't think I have to spell it out. First of all, your teaching will change, will be transformed, okay? The trust and collaboration with your colleagues will grow. It develops a humility in oneself when I know that I make mistakes, but it's okay, I can learn from it, I can improve. It helps to understand one's learners. It enhances, and this is research, okay, that it enhances students' progress, and in turn, it develops reflective learners. And I always go to class and I share with them, you know, what I am reflecting upon, whether it has something to do with them or not. So in turn, unconsciously, that is making them reflective learners. And as all language teachers, I would say, get your students to read out their writings in front of others. Initially, they will feel shy, they will feel embarrassed, but soon they will learn to give each other feedback. And you will notice that their feedback is even richer than yours, you know. So you don't even have to say, oh, you could have done this, or you should have done this, or whatever. The peers are doing it for them, and it's easier when it's coming. So initially, children will say, okay, for my friend, I will just say, oh, it was an excellent essay, okay. But I always tell them, don't use these words, good and excellent, and that doesn't mean anything. Say what that piece of writing did to you, okay? And of course, look at both what was good and what needs to improve, both. So in this constant process, it helps children to develop as good communicators, good writers. I'm sure it's applicable in other subjects as well. Next, please. So some heads of schools are here, and I would urge them, please be a model for servant leadership. Okay, you are not the wisest thing on campus. Take it from me. You are playing a role, okay, that tomorrow will be played by someone else. So you're as much there to learn. You are as much there to admit what you don't know. Okay, my technology is pathetic. Of course, in this 1 year, it has improved. I can even make PowerPoint presentations, okay, in a very rudimentary fashion. But yes, I take help from my teachers. I ask them, what do you do? How do I do this? I don't know. Okay, I don't know is a very good phrase to use. But of course, like I said, don't be limited by that. Don't remain at that. Learn those new things and go on to newer things which you don't know, right? And give autonomy to your staff to experiment, to innovate, to lead, and then give them credit for it. Don't be the prima donna, you know, my school did this, this, this. Maybe your school did, but who are the guys who worked at it? Can you pick out those? Can you highlight their contribution? Please do that. And express gratitude often to all those, because remember, if a principal is absent for a day, the school carries on beautifully. But the day any teacher is absent, we are in a flat, right? Oh gosh, now we have to arrange the proxy. So who is more important? Obviously the teacher. Okay, we are just there to support, to bring out the best in our teachers. Next, please. Jaya already referred to this. So this is just to reiterate the same thing. All of us go through the same experiences, but why do some of us learn? Because we reflect upon it. Okay, so reflection, extremely important. Next, please. So here are some websites which will give you more. There is a questionnaire also that I have requested Jaya to share with everyone. You could use that periodically to check how you are doing. Okay. So Nishita, thank you. We can stop presenting. And now is the time for questions or comments or whatever.
May I, ma'am?
Yes, yes, dear.
Yes. Namaste, ma'am. This is Dr. Smita here from
Yes,
Ramrasa International School.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am. So I just would like to share my views. Ma'am, I really love the way, with the compassion with which you always talk about teachers. Because I've seen in the seminars also, once I remember I was a part of PhD
Yes,
conference and
yes,
you were
yes.
there.
Yeah.
And you have very openly expressed your unhappiness or displeasure for organizing events on Sunday, saying that even teachers need rest.
Yes.
Even teachers need a break.
Yes.
So I always admire your compassion towards the teacher community.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. It was indeed a wonderful session. Thank you so much.
And I will say teachers need to be paid more. Really, if only all our schools, the government, the private institutes, if only they would see the contribution made by teachers. I wish, I wish. Okay, any other question, comment? Dilip sir is here now. Hello, sir. Nice to see you. Namaste.
Namaste, ma'am. Namaste.
Anything else?
Ma'am, I had lost my connection, so I couldn't hear what question you have asked. If you could repeat it for me.
No, I'm saying, is there any question or comment? I have come to the end of my talk.
Right. So friends, please feel free to express your questions, queries, and also your thoughts on today's talk. Ma'am, I would like you to...
This is Pushpendra.
Yes, we have our...
Ramratna International.
Yes, Smita did. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I really like your insights and how practically you talk about the concern that we usually face in the school area, and the way you also express about how teachers needs to be put forth before anything else, because they are the one who are riding the entire fort. So I think this was really insightful. I'm relatively new to this sector, but I really loved the entire session, although I joined a little late. But I'm really grateful that you are part of Aadharshila. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
We have some of our Aadharshila speakers here. I would like their thoughts also to be shared on the talk and on this entire initiative of bringing educators together, listening to experts and other educators and learning from them. We have Vijaya ma'am here. We have our next speaker, Anupma ma'am here. Then we also have Fatima ma'am. I believe I saw Fatima ma'am here. I had seen Rahul sir here, Rahul Devji. So please unmute yourselves and share your thoughts. Okay.
Okay, I just want to say one more thing since everybody is quiet. Maybe they are reflecting already.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I think what I want to say is for the teachers that don't wait for your head of school to tell you what to do, to direct you. Okay, be proactive and do things on your own. Most heads will be willing to will invite that. I mean, will welcome that. Maybe there are some who may not like it, but on the whole, every leader who is a good leader will be very happy to have that.
I would like to share something, ma'am.
Yeah.
You know how one practice that we follow in our school, there is a box outside the office. The voice is echoing. Can
Yes,
I
yes.
request
But go
everybody
on.
to be on mute, please? So, it's called I Think I Feel box, and it's open, it's accessible to all students, staff, parents, or whoever visits our school. They may express whatever they wish to express, they think, they, believe. They can write on a piece of paper and put it there. I go through those papers, and I would like you to know that this is one channel of feedback, and I have got the best of the ideas from my students. There are several practices which have turned out to be excellent, sustainable, and life transforming practices which have all come from students, emerged from their minds. I would also say that the staff is also very takes efforts to express their views on various things that helps me think from their perspectives if at all I'm lagging in that aspect. It happens from time to time, and it might happen. So I take this opportunity to thank my staff for also sharing their feedback openly and also through the I Think I Feel box. I truly appreciate it. So thank you very much.
And that speaks for you as a leader, Jaya. So that's wonderful. Yeah.
So
Thank
Jaya,
you.
can I come in? Can
Yes,
you hear
Vidya
me?
ma'am, please. Yes, Vidya ma'am.
So yeah, that was a fantastic idea, Jaya. I had known it earlier. Still wonderful. Zareen, it was a lovely session. You and all those small anecdotes you shared, small practices you shared, added value to the whole session. I felt it was just beautiful. Actually, to be very honest, it took me on a reflective journey. There was a parallel reflective journey going, while I was listening to you. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jaya. Thank you, Zareen.
Thank you, Vidya ma'am. Would someone like to express? Okay. Ma'am, I must say that we covered the whole session so beautifully and on time. And there was enough time for participants also to ask questions or share their thoughts. I agree with Vijaya ma'am that the anecdotes you have shared from your personal life have been very impactful. And we all could relate to them, especially when you said that, when a teacher is a young teacher in terms of her journey as a teacher, we think very differently and we take every single smile, smirk with a very different approach, and how it changes over time if we are reflective. We may continue to remain stuck in that mindset if we are not reflecting. And yes, I can very well relate to it. I hope there are others with me who can relate to this, and maybe keep reflecting. Ma'am has given us tools for reflection, right from spending time with yourself every day as quiet time, minimum of 20 minutes if we can manage, also being open to feedback from others, always checking if our thoughts, our words, our actions match with the standards of absolute purity, honesty, unselfishness, and love. In short, PHUL, please remember fool. And one cannot fool oneself. and hence one must remember this full PHUL: absolute purity, honesty, unselfishness, and love. And if we can always try to match up to these standards, I think it would be the greatest activity we can do towards reflection and learning from reflection and bringing in transformation in ourselves. Thank you so very much, ma'am, for sharing these tools, for sharing those various aspects where we can think about. It's a small token of gratitude for you.
Thank you, Jaya, and wish you all the best for your further sessions. All success.
Thank you, everybody. And pranams to you, Zarin ma'am. We all seek